How did Erin Krakow make the wedding of Elizabeth and Jack feel so real for Daniel Lissing, while Loretta Walsh refused to rehearse the kiss with Hrothgar Mathews? And how does Kevin McGarry feel about replacing the much-loved Mountie?
I was like, am I right for this? Really? Like, is this where we're going?
Hi, I'm Janet. Let's dive in. The wedding vows were very real. Jack and Elizabeth's wedding day wasn't just a big moment for fans. It was a special moment for the lead actors, too. Daniel Lissing and Erin Krakow wanted to make it feel as authentic and real as possible, so they treated their characters' wedding very much like their own. Amazingly, Daniel even offered to write their own vows. Erin agreed, and so did the producers. They were like, yeah, you guys know the characters better than anyone else does, recalls Lissing, so we actually wrote the vows. That's why Daniel and Erin were acknowledged as writers in the episode's credits. And they weren't the only actors who contributed to that special episode. Loughlin also wrote Abigail's heartwarming wedding reception toast for the couple. Not only did the two actors pen their own vows, but they decided to embrace another wedding tradition. Erin didn't allow her co-star to see her in her bridal gown before the ceremony. So, when Lissing saw Krakow walking down the aisle in her stunning lace-embellished dress, his emotional and heartfelt reaction was totally real. Moreover, the actors did not rehearse their kiss at the end of the ceremony. It just happened in the moment and was captured in the very first take. Of course, after this passionate moment at the altar, parties started wondering if Erin and Daniel were an item in real life.
We haven't gotten it yet.
But we'll talk about that in a moment. First, let's find out why this episode was even more challenging for Lissing. Daniel Lissing was heartbroken on Jack's happy day. Jack and Elizabeth's wedding was undoubtedly the best day of their lives. Sadly for Daniel, it was the most challenging day he's ever had as a working actor. Just 10 minutes before they started shooting, he learned some very sad news. I got a phone call from my mom from Australia telling me that my grandfather had just passed away, he revealed. But he knew that he had a real-life friend close to him who had his back, his co-star Erin Krakow. When we were going through those vows, it was really hard not to lose it, recalled Daniel. I've still got to deliver these lines and be present, and she was my rock. Jack and Elizabeth's on-screen chemistry is definitely a direct result of the actors' tight bond in real life. Lissing has nothing but kind words about Erin, calling her a kindred spirit, and felt very lucky they were cast together. We have a very honest dynamic with each other. There's nothing worse than not liking who you work with and then having to create this intimate relationship. But despite the rumors of their romance off-screen, the actors are just friends. And roughly 2 years after getting married on When Calls the Heart, Lissing tied the knot in real life. Unfortunately, Daniel and his girlfriend Nadia had to change their original wedding plans due to the pandemic. And instead of a large celebration in Bali, they said their I-dos in an intimate ceremony with only 2 friends as witnesses.
Well, it was an easy decision because we don't want to risk the health and safety of our friends and family.
But Lissing shared they still plan to have a larger celebration with more family and friends sometime in 2021. And now let's talk about another couple who recently exchanged vows on When Calls the Heart. Loretta Walsh felt like a queen. Unlike Daniel and Erin at the time of their characters' nuptials, their co-stars, Loretta Walsh and Hrothgar Mathews, were not single in real life. And this added to the excitement of that day on set. It did start to bring back so many memories of my own wedding and my own feelings, revealed Walsh. Like, oh my goodness, this is such a big change for these characters. And Mathews chimed in, sharing that he got choked up thinking about how special that day was, specifically watching Loretta walk down toward the altar. It's a strange thing because you're acting, but those moments have a realism to them. And when a beautiful bride walks down the aisle, I have trouble containing myself, he explained. So, if you spotted tears in the actors' eyes, they were for real. And what about their first kiss? It turns out, Hrothgar asked Loretta if she wanted to rehearse it, but she was adamant that they should do it on the day, live in front of the crew. There's a part of me that just really wants to create magic, she revealed. It's Florence and Ned's first kiss, and there's such a sort of innocence to these two, which is really endearing. Walsh also explained why Florence's bridal look was so important. As her character is usually somewhat controlling and put together, and always wears her hair up, she felt it would be a really big risk to have her hair down and flowing and so feminine. and combined with a romantic pale pink beaded gown, it was a really big transformation for Florence. By the way, the dress comes with a lot of meaningful history.
Woo! What a ride. I'm thrilled and so happy that we can talk about it.
Hearties may recall seeing the same dress on Florence's best friend, Molly, who selflessly gifted the fabulous frock to the bride-to-be and totally saved the day. Loretta Walsh revealed that the wardrobe team initially played with the design of the dress. At one point, a large bow was attached to the back. However, the actress says she spoke up that the bow didn't feel authentic to Florence's style, and together with the new hairstyle, it might just be too much of a risk. In the end, Walsh truly felt like a queen on that day, even though it was make-believe. And speaking of beautiful gowns, why are the costumes of our favorite drama not period accurate? Dressing a historical drama can be a nightmare for costume designers. But for Barbara Gregusova, it's a fun challenge that allows her to use all of her creative talents and skills. The Slovakian-born artist has had over a decade of experience designing costumes for theatrical and film productions, and is also a noted jewelry designer. Hearties have definitely noticed that the clothing worn by Elizabeth and other characters isn't always historically accurate. And while not everybody might like it, that was actually a deliberate move on the part of the show's producers. They asked Gregusova to keep within the network's romantic design aesthetic to ensure that all the Hallmark Channel productions maintain a signature look and feel. Plus, the show's costume designer has a small team, as well as a limited budget and time. That means she has to get creative when it comes to dressing the show's large cast. We play more with the characters who are regulars, Gregusova explains, and then I tried to balance that with the ones who just come for a day, who look a bit more period. Certain costumes, like the walking suits the women wear, are made from scratch.
When it comes to sketching on When Calls the Heart, it usually is very, let's call it maybe practical, or like where the seams have to go, where the lace is going, like it's very just for constructive purposes.
And sometimes the designer reworks vintage and modern clothing to make them more true to the period. Like with Rosemary's wedding dress. It was originally a strapless gown, and the sleeves were added later. Or Elizabeth's blue coat, which was loose-fitting and didn't have any buttons. But the designers liked the fabric, so she basically repinned the entire thing, and it worked for the character beautifully. Music truly matters. Devoted fans of the show not only know the names and lines of every cast member, but they can even remember many little details about the show. And music composed by John Serrata is a huge part of why so many When Calls the Heart episodes remain memorable. Amazingly, it's not just the fans who are touched by the music. Showrunner Alfonso Moreto admitted his own teary-eyed response to scenes was due to Serrata's scores. Moreover, he revealed that the doorbell to the writer's room is rigged to play the theme music from the show. The composer was honored and proud to learn that his music not only moves fans, but also inspires the writers. The irony is that Serrata didn't start out destined to score notes. In fact, he was well into becoming a lawyer when music sort of took over his life. But one day, he bought a bass guitar and joined a band. A bit later, he started helping out a friend by composing music for theater productions. And slowly, his passion was born. John Serrata now has truly impressive credits, having contributed crucial notes to more than 50 films, documentaries, and dramatic series. But he remains grateful for that first call from the showrunners of When Calls the Heart. So how does Serrata create his magical music? The composer explains that screen music is almost exclusively about feeling. He refers to it as a mirror to the scene, one that reflects the emotion of the scene back to the viewers and sweeps them up into the same emotion. Usually it takes 10 to 14 days to compose, record, and mix the music for each episode, but sometimes the process can be compressed to 7 days. And now, let's get back to the cast of the show once more. Did you know that Kevin McGarry wasn't aware of Hearties? When the actor joined the cast of When Calls the Heart, he wasn't new to the Hallmark Channel, as he had appeared in the movie Signed, Sealed, and Delivered from Paris with Love. But he had no idea of the show's loyal and passionate fan base. At that point, little did I know a few years later that I would be subjected to it in a big way, he shared. The actor also admitted that he was not ready for any of it when he stepped into the role of Hope Valley's newest Mountie. It turns out he didn't watch the show before he was cast, so he was unaware of the 5-year romance Jack and Elizabeth had, or of its heartbreaking ending. However, he has since become an integral part of both the town community and the show. Although it was hard not to feel like he was taking Jack's place, many Hardys warmed towards McGarry and his character and are hoping for a happy ending for Nathan and Elizabeth. And whose side are you on? Nathan or Lucas? Don't be shy to share with us in the comments.
It's impossible not to, as a viewer, fall in love with the characters they've created. It's just impossible not to.
And speaking about the newcomers to the show, we cannot help mentioning that we still feel the void after Abigail left Hope Valley. As you no doubt remember, Lori Loughlin had to exit the show because of a personal scandal, which even put When Calls the Heart on a creative hiatus. Her character was written off the show, but there's still hope that Abigail might return. For example, this February, the show's creator, Brian Bird, admitted that he would love to work with Lori Loughlin again.
Ending season 8 on a positive note, it's our promise to the fans of good things to come.
Watch our other video about it and learn if there's a chance she will come back in the next season. And stay awesome.